بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. Brothers and sisters in Islam, Alhamdulillah, all praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who has enabled us to start this beautiful month of Ramadan. Muslims all around the world congregate to the masjid for Taraweeh prayer to listen to the recitation of the word of Allah, the noble Quran. Since many of them don't understand the Arabic language, it's useful to learn the summary of the chapters that are going to be recited in the Taraweeh prayers to help them pay attention during these precious hours of worship that they are engaged in. So each night during this blessed month of Ramadan, I will give a synopsis of each juz of the Holy Quran in about 15 minutes so that you can understand what will be recited and also pay attention to learning the translation of the Quran, and if you can also learn the tafsir, the explanation of the Quran as well. In tonight's Taraweeh, we'll be reciting Surah Al-Baqarah, one part of it, the first juz of the Holy Quran. Obviously, we start with the recitation of Surah Al-Fatiha, which is the essence and summary of the entire Quran. Thus, it is called Kitab, the mother of the book. In this opening chapter, there are many lessons that the Mufassirin have given detail into. However, we will just cover the main aspects of this surah. There are three main themes. Number one, the Tawheed of Allah, His names and attributes. Secondly, the hereafter, and the total and absolute sovereignty belonging to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as King and owner of the Day of Judgment. And lastly, the prophethood and treading the path of the prophets and the pious people on Sirat al-Mustaqim. These are likened to the arteries that go to the heart of a person's body. And these themes, they are spread throughout the entire Quran. This is why Surah Fatiha is essential for every prayer. So we repeat that in each unit of prayer to remind us of these main goals and objectives. Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim, it points out towards the straight path, the path of the prophets, the pious and the righteous. It's a known and successful path experienced by these people who made their objective and goal in life to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It tells us to avoid the path of people who earn the anger and the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and who are misled. In the next surah, in Surah Al-Baqarah, which was revealed early after the hijrah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to Medina, it's the longest surah in the Quran, as you know, 286 verses, and it's known as the surah in which the heifer or the cow is mentioned. Since there is a story of the slaughtering of a cow, a man of the Bani Israel had killed his cousin brother over some inherited wealth, and so after murdering him, he put the body at the door of another family or another clan so that to cast the blame on them. This resulted in a feud that obviously kindled fighting, and it would have led to bloodshed, but Sayyidina Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, he was divinely guided by Allah through the Holy Quran and through the revelation that came down in this surah, in Surah Al-Baqarah, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَأْمُرُكُمْ أَن تَذْبَحُوا بَقَرَةً, where it tells Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam tells his people that Allah has ordered you to slaughter the heifer or the cow. And so they had done that, and after excessive questioning of Sayyidina Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, which they shouldn't have done, and they should have basically listened to him right away and obeyed. But in the end, they did slaughter the cow, and with that they took a part of the meat of it and touched it upon the body of the slain person, in which after that he came back to life, was resurrected, revealed who had killed him, and then died again. So among these people, the Banu Israel, were those who denied the resurrection, the life after death. And this event that took place, a very amazing and miraculous event, which is a mu'jiza, which happens from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the hands of a prophet. This, it gave a denial against such people who were skeptics against the resurrection. And so in this surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He clarified that matter. Similarly, the Israelites who were living with the Egyptians, as you know, from the time of Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, when they migrated to Canaan, and there's a long story, and when we get to Surah Yusuf, then you can study that and we'll go over a little bit of it. They lived with the Egyptians, the Israelites, and the love of worshipping the calf, it came into their hearts. And, or at least they had respected them and developed that love in their hearts. So by slaughtering this cow, this was a blow to that false worship. Likewise, in this surah, basically three groups are mentioned: the believers, non-believers, and the hypocrites. There are 5 verses about the believers, 2 about the non-believers, and about the rest, 13 verses are about the hypocrites. The believers are those who believe in the unseen. They establish prayer. الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. And what we have given to them, from that they spend. And they have faith in the books and the life of the hereafter, etc. And then it is mentioned also about those who are non-believers, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sealed their خَتَمَ اللَّهُ عَلَى قُلُوبِهِمْ وَعَلَى سَمْعِهِمْ وَعَلَى أَبْصَارِهِمْ غِشَاوَةٌ. Allah has put a seal upon their eyes, their hearts, right, and their ears. And so they don't, even though they have those physical aspects on their body or in their body, they don't see the truth. How many people do we know like that? That the truth, that's just, even though they hear it, they don't hear it. They see it, but they don't see it. They apprehend it and they understand it in their hearts, but they don't get the reality. May Allah guide us all. And then the hypocrites. Hypocrisy is something which is very evil. It's even more worse than kufr, because kufr is something that is apparent. It's something that you can see. Hypocrisy is hidden. That's why they will be in the lowest portions of Jahannam. And so hypocrisy entails many sicknesses that, inshallah, I hope that you will listen to the lectures that will be given on how to correct ourselves and our character. That will be on Fridays and Saturdays. But hypocrisy, it entails jealousy, pride, greed, lying, deception, unawareness, ghafla, evil plotting, foolishness, mockery, corruption, ignorance, skepticism, and ridicule of the faithful, and other diseases that are in the heart. في قلوبهم مرض فزادهم الله مرضا. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about that sickness in their hearts. And so, although the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was given many, many miracles in this life, that he had many of them tangible miracles that people also observed, the greatest of these miracles is the Holy Quran. And this knowledge that the Prophet ﷺ had, it elevated his status. وَرَفَعْنَا لَكَ ذِكْرَكَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elevated his status above all other people because of this Holy Quran. The surah and other surahs like it start with the isolated letters, which is very unique style that was new to the Arab people. So they paid even more attention to its eloquence, and it challenged them at the same time to produce something like it. But even though it was their mother tongue, it astonished them. It was something amazing and miraculous. They could not produce even the same thing, the same kalam. فَإِن لَمْ تَفْعَلُوا وَلَن تَفْعَلُوا. And as the Quran challenges them, فَأْتُوا بِسُورَةٍ مِّن مِثْلِهِ. Bring something or produce something the like of it. They were not able to, even though they had eloquence and understood the language. Likewise, the story of Sayyidina Adam alayhi salatu wasalam is also mentioned in this surah, which the human beings and their very existence on this earth occurred. It's a story of the truth and against falsehood, good against bad. It indicates the respect that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave to humans, to Adam alayhi salatu wasalam, as his Khalifa, his vicegerent on this earth, as he had more knowledge than even the angels. And so they were ordered to prostrate to him, to bow down to him, not as something out of worship, but for reverence and respect. And humans were ultimately ordered to then maintain goodness and justice upon this earth, just like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had created human beings with goodness. Parts of Surah Al-Baqarah deal with, a major portion of it deals with, probably 3/4 of the chapter that we will be reciting tonight, deal with Banu Israel and their excessive obstinance in the way of being guided. And so it talks about them. It talks about Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam and the sacrifices that he gave as well. And that is going to be mentioned later on in Surah Ibrahim and other surahs that we'll be reciting later on in this month. The Jews and the Christians, they used to associate themselves with Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. And the Quran makes it clear that he was not amongst the Jews, nor was he amongst the Christians. وَلَكِنْ كَانَ حَنِيفًا مُسْلِمًا. Rather, he was straightforward, upright in his faith, to submit to the one Creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he submitted to him 100% as a Muslim. And therefore, those aspects that the Jews and Christians would associate themselves to with him, the reality Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about in this surah. And so it's important for us to take from the Quran this guidance. We should, as much as possible, not only pay attention to this video, but at the same time we should look at, and the purpose of this video is for us to entice us to and encourage us to look at the translation of the Holy Quran and also to look at the tafsir. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq and bless us for the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك والسلام